My dear friends in Christ and my dear family, as we prepared for this moment, and to be perfectly honest, I found it a little difficult to get through that prayer, that opening prayer, because that's actually the first time. Of course, it's some unique moment for us to gather to pray for our dearly departed. And preparing and thinking how we can enter into this moment, I felt that it's really important to focus, as we do in any time when we're walking with those who are suffering the loss of their dear ones, to hear the Lord's word to us. It's a word of comfort and consolation. It gives us strength when we face this reality. And it's so beautiful what God is saying in that first reading, declaring that, even though the world says things like, well, the only thing that we have in this world is what we've got right now, nothing else matters, that's that kind of thinking. Well, the Lord is saying, no, the souls of the just are in the hands of God, and no torment shall touch them. The world makes it look like it's the end, but it's not. They are in peace. So we need to keep focused on that. And throughout these days, I've been sharing, and we've been seeing different ways that God is giving us experiences that really, from the bottom of my heart at least, I think maybe all of us can sense that God has been able to make these things happen that we can't make happen. I would like to call them roses, little gifts of roses. My mom, we've always been inspired seeing her gather with her friends in the Little Flower Mission Circle. So one of the gifts that the Little Flower does is she gives gifts of roses. So I'm just going to say about these little things that I believe are ways to assure us that the souls of the just, that my mom and, our mom, our grandma, and, auntie is in heaven. So the first thing I would said before is that when that Friday before she died, my sister Bonnie was saying that she experienced Kevin, who passed away in March. That's his voice saying he's at the door. That doesn't happen. She doesn't have dreams like that. And then, we didn't know that she was going to leave the next day. We were hoping. We did everything to, get 5 more years. But, the Lord's time was that he was going to call her home the next morning. And the next morning was a Saturday. And then we prayed at the 3 o'clock hour together, the commendation of the dying. We were able to do that as a family. We're all in different places. That was really a powerful experience. But it helped us to assure in faith that we're united with our mom. So, and then, the blessing of her being called home the next morning on a Saturday, dedicated to Our Lady. And also the Feast of St. Agnes, her sister Agnes, was called home on Ascension Thursday in 2019. So just looking at that, I find that a deep consolation and a help in our journey of faith. So I look at that, and I'm also so amazed at how God is interweaving us as a deeper family of faith. Interweaving. It's a very mysterious way. I'm so grateful that our Mercedarian family is here in Cleveland, and they've joined us, and we're part of this journey throughout these years, and who knew? I never knew as a kid that part of that journey would involve this great reality of India. I would have loved to have been at my mom's side in the last hour, but because we have this experience in India, our pastor had to be in India to be a translator for the provincial in his canonical visit in India. And this gave a perfect opportunity for Father Don to be on Wednesday before, as representing all the beauty that Mom was about in her parish, for Father Don to be there also for the anointing. You know, and sure, our Mercedarians could, but I think it was, you know, really important, that presence. The Lord is interweaving us to show we're a family of faith. So I just reflect on that, and that shows her love and her devotion for her faith, her response to this grace that God has poured out in the just. You know, the souls of the just are in the hands of God, and they show it because that grace is in their life, in their good works. My mom was so involved in our parish from the beginning here, you know, with the linens and making vestments. See, I'm wearing her vestment, you know, and so many beautiful things. And parish council, and her years of devotion to giving Holy Communion in Rayon Nursing Home. Praying the rosary, that's it. They pray the rosary and give Holy Communion. And Dad joined with her. That was such a rich experience. That's, you know, our life and our family. And it reminds us of Aunt Mary. You know, the pastor was able to share all the wonderful things she did in her life. And we look at that as the grace of God assuring us that the souls of the just are in the hands of God. And also the last Mass that I had the opportunity to celebrate with her, Dad and Brian were there in the hospital bedside. It was on the Feast of Holy Family. We were gathering as a family. We wanted to gather as a family because there's a long tradition in the family, their devotion to the Holy Family. And in that devotion, it came about because of Father David Silva. A little story unknown to many, but to our family, very, very powerful, because he would, you know, he'd like to come around on the Feast of Holy Family and, you know, just be present. And if he didn't introduce me into the idea of Borromeo, maybe I wouldn't even have considered or been on the journey for priesthood. But he was the one who introduced me. Of course, Father Tom Cullen's a rock, too, the pastor here. But just think about Father Dave and the Holy Family. That's so important in our journey. And I just want to throw out a little idea that I don't know how many of our young people here have actually water skied. Literally, we think about, you know, oh, priesthood is kind of boring up there, you know, but this priest got us out on the boat in Lake Erie, and we got a chance to water ski. And I don't know how many of you young folks have actually done that or considered it. So I think that's just, I wanted to say that, you know, because it's something that helps us to think about, you know, the beauty and the gifts God gives. And and this self-sacrificial love that she showed in her life. There's countless ways that she has shown that, and just, you know, doing the best to make the best meal she could, you know. And I personally love, my favorites were spaghetti. It was simple, you know. Halushka, even more favorite, you know, the great Slovak things, nut roll. So I just, you know, and they do all these beautiful things, and making all the clothes. Suits and dresses, especially for Easter, you know, reflecting her faith. Of course, what I'm wearing now, and they're giving their lives. You know, I think my sister was saying either Mom was sewing all night long or Dad was out there with a hammer. You know, making the beautiful home. You know, that's just so beautiful. Beautiful work, and also sacrificing personally that they gave up their own bedroom, you know, took the family room as their bedroom, because they wanted to show us what self-sacrificial love is all about. So again, read that first reading where gold is tested by fire. That sacrifice, that self-giving is the fire of suffering that purifies the gold. So we see that happening. And then the Holy Rosary. We know this devotion is very, it touches our heart. And, you know, when we really pray the Rosary, as it's all about Jesus. He's the center of the prayer and the mysteries of his life. It's the most practical way to enter into the meaning of union with Jesus that Our Lady shows us. It's always to Jesus through Mary. And she was leading us and showing us that. And the evidence is our home. I mean, it's like a little shrine. It's like you see all the images. They're beautiful, and they remind us of these precious gifts of grace that God has poured out. And then for this reason, I chose the Gospel of Mary and at the foot of the cross with Jesus dying on the cross. You reflect on this image. You know, Jesus says to her and refers to her as woman. But that's a very reverent title. Very reverent there and also at the Cana, because he's honoring Mary as the new Eve. In the book of Genesis, at the very beginning there, God gives the name Eve to the mother of all the living. But after that, she is referred to as the woman 11 times. So it's very clear that what God is saying with his own mother is that she used to be our mother, you know, as the new Eve. And we are meant to be all this great family, united in the love and the mercy of our God. So this is what we're celebrating, what God is doing here right now. In my mom's leaving us to be gathered together as Jesus going, leaving us through his death to heaven, to gather us together as his great family of faith. So reflect on that and how this was interwoven throughout their life. You know that, or maybe you don't know, that mom and dad might not have been married if it wasn't for the fact they were doing a Sorrowful Mother Novena separately. They'll tell you about that. Dad was doing it one place, and mom was doing it another, and then they both went to Notre Dame. Mom went to Notre Dame Academy. Dad went to Notre Dame University. It's like Our Lady everywhere there. So it's very beautiful that way. And then, but they both have sisters that are in Sisters of Notre Dame. Now try to plan that. You know, I think if we tried to do that, that would have never come off. You know, I mean, that's just so beautiful. And again, you know, I just come back to the mission circle that she's been about throughout her life. I had no idea that would involve our being present there, but it's just something that's unfolded. The bishop they sponsored, Bishop Thakur, was in the Diocese of Patna in northern India. And who knew that we'd ever be able, I know they met him, he came to meet them, maybe one or two times, I know there's pictures of it. But for us to be able to go there, Dad and Mom and I, and meet him in India, I mean, that was pretty powerful too. So it's just, you know, the Lord is blessing us and how we can be together, a family of faith, and our house of charity, our mercy house, you know, literally Karunalayam, a house of mercy that we have in Kadapa, House of Mercy, is for supporting children so that they don't end up on the street. So it's a great work of mercy. And who knows that could be part of what we could do together as a family of faith. So again, we rejoice in these ways that God's making us a new heavens and a new earth, and the sea will be no more. Sea is like representative of sin, confusion, misery. That's going to be all gone. Anxiety. And no more. There's going to be a new heavens and a new earth, and God is making us new. And the last rose or gift I just wanted to mention is, guess what day today is a celebration? Today, January 27th, is the feast day of Saint Angela Merici. I'll try to put that one together. Angela, the first granddaughter in the family. So let's be encouraged and be consoled in these little gifts, these little roses, that there's also going to be some presentation of roses, and let's think of all these roses, that the Lord is giving us to see. He's making us one family. Let's deepen our faith, and also, I want to mention too, Our Lady of Mount Carmel. We love going for the the candles. Mom always comes and gets the candles, and Our Lady of Mount Carmel. So all these are related. Making us one beautiful family. Let us rejoice and be strengthened as He continues to make us, as we give our hearts to Him, makes us together a new heavens and a new earth.